Welcome back, everybody. This is Justin with Calvary Chapel RV Travelers, and today we are going to take a closer look at the Kyle Family Pioneer Cemetery. And this cemetery is actually located off to the right of the community cemetery. So when you enter the community cemetery and you take a right on the road, this cemetery is set back in the woods here, as you can tell. And as as I'm walking through here, I'm noticing these graves are just kind of sporadic. They're placed anywhere and everywhere. And when there were surveyors that came out to take a look out here, they found that there was a lot more graves than just the ones that you can see here. They excavated and noticed that there was these little stones without names on them, or at least there were names at one time, but they had rubbed off. And so this is an extremely old cemetery, and it's going to kind of surprise you as to what kind of a cemetery it is. And so for years, this cemetery was unnoticed and forgotten, and it's been tucked back in this area for quite a while. And the interesting thing is, this cemetery is the final resting place for some of Claiborne Kyle's slaves and former slaves. Many of the markers are no longer visible to be able to read. But according to an 1850 Hayes County slave census, Claiborne Kyle owned 28 slaves, ranging in the age from 2 to 80. By 1860, that number had increased a little bit and to 29, and they're believing that there was just some of these slaves had children. And so, which they did, they did. And so, anyways, as we're walking through here, you can see that how far this goes back. And there's some of these stones are pretty nice. And we're walking up on one here where there's a World War I veteran of the Engineer Corps, and he had died in 1938 and was buried there. And being a veteran myself of 24 years, I had to try to fix this flag. And of course, we're sorry it was kind of in your face there a little bit. And the ground wasn't being cooperative for me. And but I found a few flags like that that were just laying on the ground. And it's neat that people would walk through here and recognize that and come and bring a flag and some flowers, after all this time, and 70, 80 years later after they passed away. And some people put pennies and quarters and dimes up there. And so these people are definitely not forgotten. And I'm definitely not going to allow it either. So I'm going to continue on here. There was a man that went through here, and he was the one that carved the names in here, and his name is actually M.E. Ayton, who was he would put his name on the stones that he carved, so that I guess for advertising purposes. Now, burials were still being done here up until 1938, as you can see, the World War I veteran, and his name was William Calvin, that was buried there. Now, I don't know if he was a slave, doesn't say, but it was probably a pretty good possibility that he was a son of a slave. And so in 1899, there's a cemetery close to Kyle Cemetery, which is about half a mile down the road, and it was established for colored people, and it's now known as the Skyview Cemetery, which was established primarily for African American community of Kyle, with the community involvement and grants, the restoration and preservation of the Kyle family Pioneer Cemetery began in 1990. Now this cemetery here is historic to Texas, and it's labeled as a historic Texas cemetery, and it was done in 2015. And so great care has been taken to make sure this cemetery has been well, managed by Texas, which, walking out there and under those trees, I don't know what kind of trees those are, but they're just absolutely beautiful. They didn't want to do too much to it to take away from the ambiance of the cemetery, which I can understand that. But what I do love is the fact that people are being respectful. They're not kicking these over, as far as I could tell. Just age has taken a toll. Now, in this grave marker here, you can actually read quite a bit, and it was done back in 1909. This one, not so much. I don't even know if it's a grave marker, but it kind of looked like it. And this one was broke. Looks like the pieces are off to the right there. And they died in 1893. And this one looks like it was broke, but somebody tried to repair it, which I absolutely love that. That person was about 6 years old when they passed away. And this one, all these are just age is what it is. And we have quite a few people out there that go around and fix these things up. So it's as I'm exiting the cemetery, I'm just trying to, capture every stone that was in this place. I mean, there was a 17-year-old person that had passed away, and that was most likely if they were 17, they were working. There's a baby that had passed away, pretty sad, about a year old. Then there's a stone here that I don't know if it was meant to be in that cemetery or what, but it was a real nice stone, and that was of course, that baby died pretty young.